Okay, here's another session of $5 on the World, back on track. This is a revised chapter that I'd already written once, and I took the transcripts as we discussed and rewrote this a bit. I hope you like the new version better. This is called Don't Miss Kickoff and Never Leave the Game Early. Dad loved the game of football. He especially loved Michigan State Spartans football. Dad began going to Spartan football games during his college years, 1933 through 1935, and never really stopped being a fan. Sometime in the 1950s, he bought season tickets and was a season ticket holder until the end of the 2013 season. He followed pro football with a comparable passion. It couldn't help but rub off on my brother and me. We consider football our favorite sport and hold our own season tickets to MSU football. Dad started taking me to games before I started kindergarten. He had strong ties to the football program during its heyday in the 1950s through the early 1970s. He was friends with Hall of Fame coaches Biggie Munn and Duffy Daugherty. I remember meeting Duffy a couple of times. Being a business owner based in Muskegon, Michigan, he could help hometown players out a bit with jobs, and he was a financial supporter of the program too. His stories about hanging around with the coaches over the years always entertained us. He developed two golden rules for attending football games. Do not miss the kickoff. Be there when the game started. Do not leave the game early. See it through to the end. I reached a level of foundational doctrine. Every game we packed up for was a project. Mom always packed a great tailgate meal, and Dad made sure we were on campus plenty of time before the game started. It was a decades-long streak of not missing any kickoffs. In my experience with him, it did not happen. There was one time at Penn State that an unexpected traffic jam put the streak in jeopardy. We made it to the stadium and we were sitting in a staging area waiting for the cart that would take us up the ramps to our seats. Dad was in his 90s then and warranted a golf cart ride up to the seats. While sitting there, he said, "I consider this close enough to count." He was referring to getting there before kickoff, so he was aware of the streak too. By God's grace, we did make it to our seats before the kickoff, and the streak continued without any asterisk. Getting to the game early makes the experience so much better. There's not any stress that comes with rushing to get somewhere on time. The stress was front-loaded in the getting everybody in gear to leave. The tailgating is fun, and Mom always made perfect sandwiches, lemon squares, and all the other fixings. Once in our seats, we would watch warm-ups and speculate how everybody looked out there. The band played, the pregame pomp made it more exciting. We were there for the game, and there was no intention of fitting a bunch of other things into the day. Get there early and enjoy all of what goes with it, the full experience. This concept translates into life in general. Show up prepared and early. Be present and in the moment to fully enjoy your time with the people you're with the event. Enjoy your time with the people you're with and the event itself. If I need to make a meeting, I've learned to show up early and prepared. When I'm with people, I want to be present and not thinking about where else I need to be or something else I need to do. One thing I've learned to do when I invite people to a game or some other event is to share my feelings about being early. I'm aware that not everybody feels the same way about it, and that it is okay when they go to the event on their own. I don't want it to be a point of contention, and I believe in managing expectations. I don't believe in assuming that I know how somebody else thinks. It always works out well when I take the time to get on the same page with my guests. So, the streak continues. I haven't missed a kickoff yet myself, and as far as it's up to me, I won't. The be on time for kickoff rule does not get much pushback. Most people do want to be on time for things and do want to see the bands and the other festivities. The insistence on never leaving a game early goes against the grain for a surprisingly large number of people. We never did it then or do it now. We have sat through some terrible weather conditions. We have seen the Spartans getting beaten to the point of humiliation and coaches being fired from the enormity of a given loss. We have watched the Spartans annihilate another team and still stay until time runs out on the game. The philosophy holds at the end of the game as it does at the beginning. We came for the event and we want to experience all of it. By staying, you learn to persevere through any given situation. Leaving doesn't make the loss disappear. It's bad weather outside the stadium as well as inside of it, so we figured we might as well finish what we started. The biggest payoff for staying is the miracle comeback victory. We have seen so many of these. I've even seen MSU lose a couple in improbable fashion, and there are lessons in that too. Staying until the end exercises that perseverance muscle and prepares a person for the tougher real world situations where quitting early is tempting. I use the expression, never leave the game early, to stay on task when I don't feel like doing so. It reminds me that I actually do not know the outcome before it happens. Even in lopsided games, you learn something about the toughness of the teams involved. Backup players get a shot at playing. Fans learn to live with some heartache at a low stakes level, developing some resiliency for real life hurts. I see people leave concerts, games, plays, church, and any number of other events they went to some effort and expense to attend. It strikes me as a case of misplaced priorities. Getting out of a crowded parking lot is not a big deal. I know there are extenuating circumstances, external factors like babysitters or other time crunches that would lead to leaving early. We just made it a point to account for any of those things so we didn't have to consider it. Grown-ups that leave early is one thing. It does bother me that parents take their kids out of a game early when it is discretionary. Again, there are understandable reasons for this happening. They do it because the home team is losing. They do it to beat traffic. They do it because the home team is winning big. I think kids miss out on seeing miracle finishes, feeling the sting of losing and surviving it, and having patience with inconveniences to gain a fun experience. Be early and prepared to lock into the experience you're engaged with. Don't miss the kickoff. Stay until the clock reads 0. Finish what you started. Stick with a tough situation. Don't give up a difficult situation. Don't leave the game early. I'm thankful Dad raised us to be steadfast about these rules. I have seen opening kickoffs return for touchdowns. I've seen the Spartans win games on the last play of the game. I've seen them lose that way too. We always wanted to maximize the experiences we signed up for, and when it's game day, we are there for all of it. Every day is game day. Be early, stay late, enjoy the game. That is my chapter revised. I wonder if you like it as much or better than the first one, or if you have any other insights for it. Does it need expansion anywhere? I'm going to touch on some of these same themes in other contexts. I'm going to talk about other aspects of my dad's life as a football fan and the connections he made there. There's some great stories about people he met over the years and the impact he had on their lives and they had on his. And those will show up in other sections. But this focus on being in the game early and not leaving early is just really, like I say, translates well into general life practices. People give up stuff too easy. People quit too easy. People think they know how something's going to end. They think how a relationship's going to go. They think how a deal's going to turn out. They think they know things they can't possibly actually know. So stick around for it. This is, again, there are exceptions to this. There are some situations that are so bad you should get out. But we're talking about really at this level a football game. There's no such thing there. Although I do have one exception to that too. Sometimes fans can get violent and nasty. That's a different rule. I'm talking, where physical safety really is a factor, whole different set of rules. That goes for everything. But when it's just emotional, oh, I hate seeing my team lose, or I hate getting razzed by the opposition, or stuff like that. That's just tough it out. Get through it. You'll feel better because you did. And that's how I've always thought about it. I figure if the players are going through it, I can go through it too. Anyways, that's how we were raised. That's how we lived through it. The last game my dad went to was in 1990. No, what was it? It was 2013. He was 98 years old. That's where the 98 came in. It was 2013. He was 98 years old. The last game he went to was the Big Ten championship game down in Indianapolis. The whole gang went. It was Michigan State playing Ohio State. Ohio State was undefeated, ranked number 1. We were in the top 5, top 10. And it was a great game. Close, big lead changes. Ultimately, Michigan State won the game by 10 points and punched our ticket to the Rose Bowl, our first Rose Bowl since 1987. We were, after the game and the afterglow of it all, so excited. My dad said, "You know what, fellas?" He goes, "That's a good one to end it on. I don't think I'm going to go to any games next year." He was 98 years old. He he watched games, kept watching them. He lived to be 101. He had 3 more years of football to watch. So he watched the Rose Bowl, saw us win. My wife and I and our 2 kids went out to the Rose Bowl and watched it in person, which was a great experience for us. But my dad and my brother flew down to Florida and watched the game with my dad down in Cocoa Beach, where my dad lived with Joyce. And then the following year, we had another great season, but he didn't go to those games. But in 2015, another great season of football. By about then, he was talking about maybe starting to go to games again, at least one more time. He didn't do it, but we had a consolation prize. We got to know Coach D'Antonio, the head football coach, casually, saw him at some events and things like that. And we mentioned my dad. He had sent my dad a football for my dad's 100th birthday. And so when we saw him at an event after that, we thanked him for sending along the football and everything, and he was gracious about it. And then we said, Dad's talking about going to games again. He goes, well, we could probably arrange to get him up into one of the skybox things. He goes, how about this? Invite him to a practice. Have him come to a practice. We'll show him around. He can compare it to what it used to look like back in the 60s. So he gave us the contact person. We called him up and made the arrangements. And that summer, it was the summer before the 2016 season, my dad, my brother, our son Daniel, and Chuck's daughter Maggie, we went to Michigan State, went to the stadium, got checked in, went out on the field, watched the practice field, watched the kids run around. We got a tour of the facilities. D'Antonio talked to mostly my dad for like 20 minutes right during practice, which I thought was such a nice, kind thing to do, to step aside and give my dad the time of day like that. We had a great day. It was hot. It's summertime, but it was fun watching the players run around and do their thing. See all the locker rooms and the practice facilities and the weight room and all that stuff, and meeting the coaches and talking to some of the players. It was a great day. He didn't go to another game in person, but that was the next best thing. And I always liked D'Antonio anyways, but that made it even more special. So Dad passed away, in 2017, 101 years old, but Spartan fan right to the end. And I'm glad he gave us that passion for sports and these 2 rules to live by, because they've translated so well across so many areas of my life. Thanks again for listening. Like and share, comment, all the good stuff, and I'll see you next week with another revised chapter. Goodbye for now.